Hi everybody, this is CKNN. Welcome to the 10th tutorial in HTML. In today's class, we'll be looking at how to create and add an external CSS file to HTML. So we go to our code and we try to get rid of all the all the CSS commands that we've written. So let's try to also wipe where we linked them to the various parts of the CSS over here as well. So after all this, when we save the document and run, you realize that it goes back to the same old black and white page. Okay, so to add an external CSS file, you have to create a whole new file. So you go to File, New, and then you create a CSS file. So we save this as let's say I'll call it main because it's going to be our main CSS file. So main.css. So the file extension here is CSS. So we go to save as type, and then we look for CSS over here. So we go through, we see cascading style sheet or cascade style sheet file, which is CSS. You select that one, and then the direction or the directory is desktop. So I save it to my desktop. Okay, so before we begin, we have to relate this to the external file. So as I told you about the link tag, it's used to relate to external files. It could be CSS file, JavaScript file, or jQuery file, or any other thing else. So the first thing we do is we call the relation. You say rel, which means relation. So the relation here is a style sheet. So style sheet. Alright, then we create another thing, href, which means hypertext reference. So the hypertext reference is gonna be the name of the CSS file. So this is gonna be main.css. Alright, so this is basically what we're coming to do over here. Okay, so we created a link tag which links to the external file. So you tell the link that the relationship is a style sheet. Sorry, that was kind of spelling mistake here. Alright, so you tell the system that this is a style sheet, and then the hypertext reference directs you to where the file is located. Alright, since both of them are on the desktop, I won't maybe say go to desktop blah 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 blah. They're all in the same directory, so you just say main.css. So we save this. So now we come to our CSS file and we begin some kind of programming CSS. So I begin by calling a class. We used ID in the previous tutorials so much, so let's try calling a class. So let me call the class as header. So the appearance of this also looks perfectly like what we saw in the embedded CSS. So let's start by giving some height. This time around I'm going to make it 200 pixels, which is going to be looking very funny, but I don't really care about that. Okay, so the background color, it's going to be background color. Should I just use some kind of funny color? Okay, which color didn't you use? Let me use something like green. Alright, so I save this document and then I come back here. I want it to affect the header tag over here. So I bring this one as class. Remember, we're not using ID over here because this side we used a class. We didn't use an ID. So class is gonna be header. And I save this. So when I run this, it gives me a very tall header with some kind of green background. Alright, just accept it this way. You can set your height to anything, and you can also set your color to anything or whatsoever. Alright, so let's go back to the footer as well as usual. So let's set an ID over here to the footer, which is gonna be we'll try the background color and the height over here as well. So the height is going to be the usual 30 pixels. And the background color, I'm thinking about some kind of crazy color right here. Background color. Okay, let me just say yellow. And I'm gonna combine some kind of bad colors and all that, but don't really have to mind this for now. We just have to see how it works. So we come to footer, and then we say an ID should be equal to footer. Alright, I save this also and I run. I get my footer background to be yellow and a height of 30 pixels. Alright, so this is how we add an external file to an HTML document. You first go to the head tags where all the information goes, like the title of the page, all the links that you want to create, an external link. It could be HTTP, whatever. You can link it to a CSS file from another website and all that. So as we go along, we learn all those things. Okay, so when you create a link tag, you set a relation and you tell the relation that, okay, this is a style sheet, so the relationship it has with this is a style sheet, and then the hypertext reference also directs you to where you find your CSS file. So just as we set the IDs and classes in the embedded CSS, you do the same over here, and then you give the direction of the particular IDs to where you want them to affect in the HTML document. So welcome to the world of CSS. In the next tutorial, I'm going to show you, or we'll be looking at some basic CSS settings for our standard pages, and then we continue from there. So thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel.